Good morning, this is Norma Cowie, and once more I'm here for my Wednesday Norma Talks. Several days ago, a topic came into my head, and it said, explain the difference between thoughts and words. And I thought to myself at the time, because I talk about thoughts and a little bit about words, but a little about thoughts a lot. So I went, okay, I'll do that. I'll obey my instructions. And what I found was I began to find that as I got closer to Wednesday, I was thinking, how am I going to present this? Which way am I going to go? There's many ways I can work about this. So I'm going to go back to basics. You are thinking all the time. You may not be aware of the thoughts that you're having. You may not be aware of, you'll be aware of some of them, yes, but not a lot of them. And it's kind of a little bit like the pyramid. You're aware of what's on the top, but you're not aware of what's going on below. And one of the elements of this is that thoughts, to me, are the framework of your frequency. But we need to be able to go deeper at times. And I call it observing my thinking, sitting back and watching the thoughts go across my conscious mind, because we need to find out what the patterns are. Now, thoughts come from beliefs. Thoughts come from the belief systems that we have deep in our subconscious. And consequently, we're not always aware of those beliefs. And therefore, we're not aware consciously of the thoughts that go into that. People who have anxiety is always done because the thinking builds everything up to make it tense. But when you go deeper into that, I'm with the sign of the times, I've been doing a lot of transformation for people for anxiety and all those kind of things. And what we find down there is the patterns of where they believe they're not going to be successful or they can't do it, like ingrained old patterns, old thoughts, old belief systems. And then they're still running today. And especially in the circumstances that a lot of us are living in, that it all is even more surfacing than perhaps in other times. So you need to be aware of your thinking as much as possible. And I do that by creating an observer. And I'm just going to put my hand up that sits up here and kind of observes everything that is going on in my brain every now and again. You can't do it all the time because you need to be in the present. Being in the now is very, very important. But you need a little bit of time off sometimes just to sit back and watch the thoughts that cross the consciousness. The subconscious is vast. It has all sorts of beliefs and situations from other lifetimes, from other experiences, not on Earth, but maybe other planets or dimensions. And yet it's all kind of kept there, bubbling away, waiting for something to trigger it to come on out and to be part of that. So thoughts are changeable. One of the things I like about thoughts, if I have a thought that I don't really support or it doesn't support my goal, whatever I'm working on at the time, I can do what I call freeze it, evaporate it, and I replace it with what I want. So consequently, I am in, you might say, quite often, and again, I get lazy and don't always do it, but because I know that the thought that is going out is the framework and creating what is basically going to come back to me at some point of time, I really want to make sure that my thoughts reflect the goals that I have and what I am wanting out of my life. So if we look at it as the framework, now my instructions were to explain the difference between thoughts and words. Thoughts you can change. Thoughts are thoughts. They're going out there all the time, just like a radio station. You're broadcasting all the time. But you can change the channel. You can change the vibration of those thoughts. You can, and now I'm going to talk a little bit in a moment or two about the emotional elements that we have that give the thoughts, you might say, energy, charge them. So what is so important about words? When you speak a word, you cannot take it back. It is gone. And depending on the velocity that you speak it with or the intensity that you speak it with, it has gone out there in your vibration and you cannot take it back. If you want to change the intensity of it, then you need to or speak other words with the equal intensity or more intensity than what it was put out. So it's kind of like a physics thing. You got to match it or overcome it. But basically, you can't take it back. You can say, I'm sorry. I wish I hadn't said that. Happened to me the other, probably why this is up, because it happened to me the other day. You know, when you live by yourself like I do, you get kind of used to speaking out aloud, just so you kind of hear yourself. And I was in a situation and I was making an observation of around a person, which even makes it, yeah, I think more, I had to do a lot of self-forgiveness when I got home. And as I left this person, I made a comment and about them personally that if I could have taken those words back, I would have, but I was already out the door and it was a professional visit. I was very unprofessional and that bothered me. So as I said, I had to spend a couple of days forgiving myself for messing up that. But you see, we're not always perfect. And a lot of that is because I'm used to sometimes speaking out my thoughts. So, but I can't take words back. You can't, you can apologize for them. That's unfortunately the circumstances was I couldn't run back and say, hey, I'm sorry for that, because that probably would have even made it more complicated. So what I want you to be aware of is how you speak. Now, I am big on giving thank yous, and I have in the past often lectured on the power of the thank you, how thank yous can really enhance many things. And again, what's the energy that we put? So let's talk about energy and we'll come back to thank you for a moment. When you say words and or even thoughts that have energy, which is emotional behind them, it gives them power. So when they have more power, they sustain longer. So you might be able to change your basic thinking. Yes, I don't know. I'm not, that's not what I want. And I often have students create what they want list versus don't want list so that we will start working with the want list and then the want list can become goals and then we can work towards that. But you often have to look at what you don't want because that's usually what we're creating. Because we have a, I don't like this, I don't like that. And so you start talking to your friends what you don't want, which is actually giving it energy. And the words are stronger in the sense of the moment than a thought. The thoughts are strong because it's consistent all the time. But what comes out as sound and the intensity of the sound also makes that very much like how do you manage that? What happens when you get angry? What do you say? You swear at it, or you swear at the person, or you swear at God, or you know, we have a lot, and I'm not going to get into saying words here because it may not be acceptable, but there's a lot of words you can say when you hit your finger and you know, or they're not good words. They're not enlightening words. They're not words that have you feel better than, let's put it that way. So how do you counteract that? The need to become aware of your thinking, which is the precursor to the verbs, to the words, as they come out. Also to be aware of what your vibration is, because when you're tired, when you're not feeling well, when all those things, it's like your vibration begins to sink. And a lot of that, I'm going to call it stuff, that is down there begins to come out, begins to come, you're not as positive, we'll say. And I don't really, I have to make a comment here. I don't teach positive or negative. Very, very seldom do I mention that, which I found that was interesting that came out. I really teach is, do you want it or do you not want it? Because what that does is take away the judgment. Otherwise you're judging and say, oh, that was a negative statement. Well, it might be a statement that you unwanted. Just think about it as an unwanted statement. Then at least it doesn't have all that judgment feeling that you've done something wrong. We are who we are, and we have pluses and minuses within us. And again, I go back to the subconscious where everything is stored, and sometimes you just hits the right button and out will come often verbally, never mind the thought, it seems to bypass thinking, words that are not productive for your vibration. Now, as it's called more commonly today, your frequency, and that is like the radio, your radio station. So you need to be careful of what your words are, because you can't take them back, and it gives your vibration a very, very strong element. I was just working on something that I had written a long time ago, and I was reading when it says, speak what you want. Do you know how often we speak of what we don't want? That sounds crazy, but it's like, I don't want it to rain tomorrow. Now, they often have said, if you know and worked anywhere in the subconscious end, the don't, it doesn't hear. So it hears, I do want it to rain tomorrow. It may not rain tomorrow, but if you consistently think, I don't want it to rain tomorrow, what you're doing is one day it will rain when you don't want it to. All these things are important. I was just thinking, running through my mind on this Saturday, I keep looking because I'm doing a wedding on Saturday, and there hasn't been a lot of weddings in the last year because of COVID. And so it's a garden wedding for a family. And I'm thinking, I really trust that it's sunny. It would be, and it looks like it's going to be sunny and nice. But people will say, I don't want it to rain, rather than say, I really trust it'll be sunny. So we don't, let me rephrase that. We need to be able to speak what we really want. We need to be able to say, this is what I want, and this is how it is. Now, am I perfect? Nope, not always at all, but I do actually spend time thinking about what is this I want. And sometimes I get complacent. My people who study and are around me know, I talk about when I get complacent. And being complacent means I'm not setting goals. I'm just happy where I am, and everything is good, and I've created, and life is fine. And that's when things go incorrect in my life over time. That's when things bounce up in my face that I have to deal with. And that is because I haven't projected ahead. And I've learned that I need to be in my complacency because I've created a world that works for me. Where am I going next? Now that starts with contemplation. Contemplation is thinking. Thinking is just a matter of taking a look and saying, yes, I want this, I don't want that. And somehow your system knows that's what you're doing. Because it's kind of like you've allowed a time. You haven't allowed thoughts running randomly out into your vibration. It's kind of like, okay, guys, this is now contemplation time. What do I want this? Or do I want that? Do I want to go here? Do I want to go there? How do I want to fulfill my day? How do I, what am I looking at? And what happens with that, the subconscious then takes that, strews it around, and gives you an answer, which is nice. Now that's getting your subconscious to work for you. Because now we got to go to the bigger picture. You've created the structure of what you want, which is your thinking process has created the goal of how you want the end result. Now, this is where I find a lot of people, I'm going to say make an error, and I'll leave it at that. Make an error is because they'll make a step towards the major goal. And I quite often find people create a step rather than what's the real end result they want. Go for the end result. I have what I call the first step principle, and the thinking process is that all you know is the goal. That's the goal. You tell the universe that this is my goal. This is what I want. And then all you look at is what's my first step towards that goal. Because what most of us happen is because we're thinkers, we get into worrying about how we're going to get there. It's not our job to worry how we're going to get there because the universe is taking care of that. But if you put worry thoughts in there, the universe is, they want to make it difficult. Remember, the universe does not judge what you want. It will create it. And the more you're clear and go step by step by step, the easier it will happen. How do I know this? Because I spent a lot of years working it out, figuring it out, getting it to the point where at least it made some sense to me as to how I created messes and how I didn't do what I wanted. And then I finally clicked. What's the end result? Going step But again, the thinking pattern gets into worry, gets into anxiety. What if it doesn't happen? And so again, are you thinking what you want? Are you expressing to your friends what you want? Or are you thinking and expressing what you don't want? You need to be very clear. Words you can't take back. You've already said to your friends everything you worry about. And I know good friends that you can express those to as important, but really don't put any emphasis on it. Don't get the emotion working with that, at least. So it's minimal, because you want that excess of thinking about what you do want to take precedence out there for the universe, if we'll call it that, to give you back what you want. And sometimes it doesn't happen. I know it doesn't happen. And there can be lots of reasons for that. But I've always found that life always has given me more than what I asked for. It has given me more opportunities. It has given me more love. It has given me more everything. So if I want to be left alone and be by myself, that's what I'll get. If I want people around, I will get that. I will get what I ask for, but I ask for it sincerely, and I know that's a goal, and I don't worry about how it's going to show up. I just know it will, and it does in all sorts of different ways. So let's just do a kind of a recap. Your thoughts are continuously going out to create what we call your frequency. That's why the universe knows what to bring to you. When we have a spot, I'm sorry, I'm going ahead of myself. And those thoughts can be changed, freezing them, evaporating them, replacing them with what you want, because you become consciously aware. But you must remember, your subconscious has all sorts of thoughts in there that come from belief systems that you may not even know you have. How you get to find you have them because of how it outpictures in the world, because the world will consistently be reporting back to you where you are. That's the wonderful thing about how the universe works. But when you speak, you cannot take that back, because it has a power that, unless you give a lot of emotion behind a thought, that doesn't have. You can be building up in your thinking, and then you can speak 3 words and it's all demolished. So before I kind of wrap this up, it's like I was speaking to someone the other day talking about the attitude of gratitude. And I know Oprah made that very popular, but it is important. Many times we do things we don't particularly like. We work in jobs we don't like. We kind of, and it's very hard to get down. And I have found with my clients that I speak to, that is acceptance of 100%. Well, this is what I'm doing, and I give gratitude for the monies that they get so they can do other things that they like. Sometimes we forget the day is created by 3 8-hour segments. Sometimes people work a lot more than 8 hours. They work 12 hours and they supposedly get more days off. There's some question about all those hours that you have to work. But anyway, I don't want to get into that at the moment. I want you to be aware that you create your world by how you think, how you feel, how you respond, and how you speak. The words that you say have an impact. If you're putting yourself down, universe says, oh, that's what they want. More of that. If you're not liking something and you're speaking it with emphasis, the universe says, oh, they want more of that. See, very often when we like something, we don't speak it with emphasis. We speak it with just whatever. When I was doing a lot of wealth workshops many years ago, and I had something occur this morning that reminded me of that. Actually, it was a thought that came in, was passion energy is very similar to anger energy, but it's clean, it's clear. And if you feel angry and you can clear that sort of angry part out, you have passion. And if you can put passion behind your words, if you can put passion behind your thoughts, it really makes a big difference in relation to your life and what is brought back to you. And for each person who listens to this, I really trust you begin to take a look at how you think and especially how you speak, so that you're speaking in relation to the pluses that you want in your life in the here and now. So I give thanks for you for listening. I give thanks for the subscriptions. I give thanks for the likes, the comments, and you can always contact me through my website, normacowie.com. Wish you a great and wonderful day. So please enjoy and speak kindly about yourself. Bye now.